It's the Full Court Press with Eric Frandsen and Jason Walker.
Welcome back to the to the show that we're doing right now.
Following the local teams, breaking down the biggest games with in-depth analysis and team interview. Join the show by calling into 435-752-1069 or text 435-339-0321. It's the Full Court Press.
Rose, hands up. Yes! Caught! Touchdown! They did it!
Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome on in to the Full Court Press. Eric Frandsen, Jason Walker. We'd love to hear from you as well. 435-339-0321 on the Young Power Sports text line if you want to weigh in. Last hour, we were talking about the road to the Mountain West title, at least going into the Mountain West Conference tournament. What was the schedule? What are schedules looking like for the top 6 teams in the conference, and who has a little bit more of a challenge ahead of them versus, what does their home schedule look like, their road schedule look like? Got some games in the conference going on tonight, and certainly the way we ended the show, talking about Emily Skinner, recognized as a McDonald's All-American, the only girl from the state of Utah to get that recognition, just has had a tremendous career at Ridgeline High School. And I kind of teased this, but I forgot to mention it. Last night they played. The Ridgeline girls basketball team faced Grantsville. Those were, I think, the only 2 remaining undefeated teams in the state. And
is Snow Canyon undefeated?
Snow Canyon has a loss. As far as that's a good question.
I'm going to pull their record up. They might have one. I know they've got like the other, one of the best players in the state.
Oh, you're right. No, they are undefeated. They are 19-0.
Yeah, Olivia Hamlin, I believe was her name.
So. Yeah, those 2 teams are on a collision course.
Yeah, they're gearing up for what could be a heck of a battle. Of course, they've already met in the playoffs before. I've watched them play in the playoffs before, but Ridgeline had just such a stacked team that it didn't matter. But this year, I think it's going to be interesting because, you got the 3rd and 4th girls players ever to score 2,000 points that'll likely be going against each other.
Yeah.
At their peak senior years, I think it's going to be pretty insane.
Be a great showdown. So there are a few undefeated teams in the state at this point. West is undefeated in 5A. There are the 2 teams in 4A, Ridgeline and Snow Canyon. And Grantsville is no longer undefeated in 3A. And Ridgeline really just separated.
Start calling them Millville High.
Yeah. That was video streaming on Cache Valley Daily and on 104.5 The Ranch last night. But talking hoops, let's talk about the NBA and the Utah Jazz. And we've talked about honors and recognitions. Let's mention Keyonte George, who got another invite to participate in the Rising Stars Challenge. He did that last year as a rookie, and he is participating on the sophomore team this year. He leads all second-year players in assists. But it's interesting timing because there's been some noise this week about Will Hardy sending Keyonte George to the bench because he's just not quite doing some of the things that Coach Hardy wants him to do. He's impacting the team in some ways, but Will Hardy certainly has higher expectations of his second-year player.
Yeah, you'd like a guy to begin to learn a few more lessons in his second year. You want guys to be able to learn from their mistakes because when you're a rookie and you shoot sub 40% from the field and you have a lot of, kind of dud games, like that's expected because you're a rookie. You're going to suck some nights because you're a rookie and you suck compared to everyone else in the NBA. But you're supposed to suck a lot less as a sophomore, at least theoretically. Mind you, Walker Kessler actually was better as a rookie than he was a sophomore. But hey, you can, at least if you're learning those lessons and still struggling, you can kind of get away with it. But I guess behind the scenes, Keyonte George, isn't maybe learning those lessons, maybe isn't being as coachable. Who knows? That's just speculation and rumor. I'm not going to try and get too deep and read into a situation that I don't know all the answers to. But yeah, it is a bit of a what's the word? Juxtaposition or something like that between Keyonte getting this honor, but also kind of going through a bit of a struggle and looking like, is he going to get displaced by a rookie, Isaiah Collier, who, if he'd been playing like he has the last month, if he'd been doing that over the whole season, he'd probably actually be on the rookie team. But he's only been playing like this for, a month, and so he's not going to supplant any of the very deserving names that are on the rookie team, which there's fewer rookies than there are sophomores. Like, sophomore had 18, and then the rookies have 10 or 11. And the G League team has 8 or 7 players on it. So I don't know what's going on here.
It's got some weird maths going on there.
Yeah, they don't mix together, do they? For a minute they were doing the USA and the World, and I think there were too many from the World because there were a lot of good players there. And so they went back to the rookie sophomore. Of course, this year, aren't they going to play each other, and then the winner goes and plays in the 4-team, what'll be, because there's the 3 all-star teams, and then they're going to throw in a 4th that's the best of this rookie sophomore, I think.
I think you're right.
I think, if I remember right, which that'll be an interesting thing. I think the rookie sophomore G League team is going to get cooked by the NBA team.
Yeah.
But
they may actually try.
And the thing is
they're going to actually try to be competitive.
Yeah, they're definitely going to try, but and maybe that's where you'll get some effort out of the NBA guys, because we're not going to let these guys beat us. So maybe they'll try and beat them, but then when they're in the championship game or whatever, they'll be all right, everyone's just going to do a layup line. Who can hit the most 3-pointers? Who can hit the longest 3-pointer? Who can hit a half-court shot? Who's going to try and replicate Nikola Jokic? How do you say it? His 3/4 court shot.
It's a tongue twister.
Yeah, it is. I can't do it. So I don't know. We'll see. But it's nice to see the rookie sophomore is just entirely about it's basically the all-star game for the tanking teams, because their young players end up on the rookie sophomore teams. Yeah, so they get to see their young players in an environment where they're getting recognized for being okay, producing points on a not so good team. Mind you, there's players from good teams, Derek Lively, Amen Thompson, Zach Edey, for the Grizzlies, but it's a lot of Brandon Miller, on the Hornets. Obviously, Keyonte George for the Jazz, Scoot Henderson for the Trailblazers. It's a chance for the tanking teams to have somebody around on All-Star Weekend that they can pay attention to. So it's a real nice touch for the NBA to have it. And these guys actually do try, because they're still trying to prove something about themselves.
Right, yeah. They're still trying to get attention. They're still trying to get recognition. They still want to try to prove something about who they are and what they can do. There's been a little bit of controversy, though, I guess, with this player. Now I can't remember his name. He's with Miami.
He was Jimmy Butler, or
no? It would be a rookie or sophomore.
Jaime Hawkes? Is that how you say his name?
I think it's a rookie, and he was left off.
Oh,
but he's had a big impact for them through all of this Jimmy Butler drama.
Now I got to look at. Well, that's not how you spell Miami.
Yeah. So anyway, it seems like there's always some controversy somewhere when you put these lists together. Somebody gets left off.
Yeah, somebody always gets left off. So the trick, whenever that happens, was it Kel'el Ware?
Yes, I think that's right. Yes.
I don't know if I said that properly, but the question is always, if you say somebody got snubbed, you can't just say they got snubbed. You have to pick the player that you leave off the roster that's already on it. That is the rule. If you say they got snubbed, go to the roster of who's on there and tell me exactly which player you will take off. If you want to pick 2 or 3, fair enough, but you got to pick at least one and say, and Miami could very well be right. It's not like I've studied this extensively and figured out whether or not I think it's right, but pick the one to leave off in favor of yours and tell me exactly why your guy deserves to be on it over them.
Yeah, amen. If you're going to add one, you have to remove another. You can't just infinitely grow the list of players that are going to be participating.
Amen made the list.
But and he looked good.
He did.
The other night, last night, he had a great game-winning shot against the Boston Celtics.
Yeah, it was pretty nice.
Wow. So anyway, nice recognition there for Keyonte George. Look, he does have some good talent. It's just struggling to refine that a little bit. And I think that Will Hardy is just trying to motivate his guy.
Yeah.
He knows that he can be a pretty special player. He's just trying to get him to focus and get it dialed in. And he's getting this recognition. I don't know if this flies in the face of the quote-unquote discipline that Will Hardy is trying to put out there with his young player, or if it's just, hey, you know what? Congratulations. We know you're working hard, but do these things, you could be even better than you already are.
Well, as the quote an old scripture, reprove betimes with sharpness, afterwards showing an increase of love.
Yeah, there you go. Yes, I've heard that before.
Yeah, some of you may recognize it, some of you may not, but the principle remains.
The rookie sophomores announced, and have they announced the All-Star reserves? I don't know if they've announced that just yet.
They're announcing like Pro Bowl reserves, because I know Drake May is going to go to the Pro Bowl. That's the NFL.
That's the NFL. Yeah,
They've not even announced the full NBA All-Star roster yet.
The reserves will be announced on Thursday.
Yeah, have they actually announced the full All-Star rosters? Like, that hasn't finished yet, has it?
For the NBA?
Yeah.
They announced the starters.
Yeah.
They have, and they'll announce the reserves.
Oh,
on
okay.
Thursday.
Well, when you said reserves, I thought you meant like guys subbing in for guys that can't make it.
No.
For some reason, that didn't compute correctly for me.
Yes. Yeah. So I don't think we're going to have any Utah Jazz players.
No, that's not going to happen. Lowry's not played enough, and he's not been good enough as far as being a reserve. He wasn't even on the fan vote list. He was somewhere on the fan vote list when I forget how low down he was. He's actually surprisingly high, if I remember, on the fan vote the year he made the All-Star game, which kind of showed how good of a year he was having, is that people actually recognized it, even though he obviously wasn't a starter. At least he wasn't picked as a starter. Did he end up being a starter?
No.
Because somebody filled in, or I couldn't remember if he filled in for somebody and ended up being a starter or something.
No, he was a reserve.
Yeah, but he made it in as a reserve. But one thing I want to talk about, though, real quick before we move on is because it was a thought I had while we were talking about Keyonte George and Isaiah Collier, and you're looking at Keyonte George's struggles, and I can't help but feel like we're basically just going through the Trey Burke arc all over again, where Trey Burke was billed as he's the point guard of the future, and we kind of kept just making excuses for him eventually getting it together. And he had his moments. Like, I think he had a game-winning shot in one game, but he just ended up being an inefficient scoring point guard. Like, that was his thing. Like, when he was at Michigan, he flew up draft boards because he was leading Michigan to a deep run in the NCAA tournament, and he was a scorer, and he was hitting all the clutch shots, and that's the thing he was supposed to do. And I feel like both Keyonte and Isaiah are kind of like billed as those guys who can hit shots and also maybe distribute a little bit. Obviously, Trey Burke he averaged like 5 or 6 assists in college. I don't know. With both Isaiah and Keyonte being pretty inefficient, like I can't help but feel like we're going through this again. I have some hope for Collier because he was averaging like 8 or 9 assists since he became a starter. He is shooting under 40% as a starter. But like, he's also a rookie, so like, and there are a lot of rookie point guards who shoot under 40% when they're put in bigger roles. So like, there's hope, like good point guards who shoot under 40% and then raise their percentages as they get better. But I keep worrying. Like, and I don't know, everyone who listens is probably tired of me banging on about efficiency and shooting. But like, it's a big deal. Hitting your shots at an efficient clip is kind of a big deal, and you want your guys to do that.
Yeah, last night Jazz took on the Bucks, and the Bucks hit a bit of a skid there, but they've turned things around lately, and they're playing some pretty good basketball. But in that game, Isaiah Collier, 6 of 9 from the field, 8 assists, 2 rebounds, 3 steals.
Yeah.
Very efficient game from Isaiah Collier at the starting point guard position. And then off the bench, Keyonte George actually playing more minutes than Collier. Granted, it was Milwaukee was in control of the game most of the game.
Yeah.
Jazz did try to make it interesting in the fourth. But Keyonte, he was 5 of 13 from the field, so a much higher volume shooter. But he was 3 for 8 from 3. Added 4 rebounds, 5 assists, and 1 steal. But both players were minus 11 in the plus-minus.
Yeah, I'm not going to pay too much attention to plus-minus in a season like this.
No.
Because it's always going to look bad. The trick is, again, it's efficiency. It's in a combination of efficiency and production. The plus-minus is going to suck because you're on a sucky team. Like, there's nothing you can do about that. Ideally, you'd be, Walker Kessler was pretty good in the plus-minus, but he was on an okay team his rookie year. So, yeah, it's nice to see that from Isaiah Collier in this last game. He's had some of those more efficient games. I'd like to see some of that. The assist numbers make me really happy. And as long as he can be like a creation kind of playmaker instead of just a reactive playmaker, it's like, I'm just going to dump it off to the guy who's open from 3 and then he hits it, that kind of assist. You want to see him be able to create with his passing. And I hope that's what they've got in Collier. Because I don't know if he's showing star potential, but if you can get a guy who can pass the ball well, hit a shot when he's open, and defend, that's everything you want out of a point guard. And they can search for a star that's going to be the guy, and you can get him at the top of this year's draft and the next. Because you do need guys like Isaiah Collier if he meets his potential. Like, you need those kind of guys on your team.
Right. You need somebody to set him up. You need somebody to find him. And that's what Collier seems to have, pretty good court vision. But can he be a scoring threat himself? Because at times he will need to be a scoring threat. And earlier on in the year, he wasn't. He couldn't shoot very well. But he spent some time in the G League. He spent a lot of time in the gym, and he has been improving as a scorer. Somebody who doesn't always look for his shot, but when given, he will take it, and he's starting to make more of those shots. Whereas Keyonte is always looking for his, well, maybe not always, but certainly more than Isaiah. Keyonte George is looking for his shot, looking to attack the rim and try to make something happen. He's just not quite efficient at doing it right now.
Yeah, and Collier, as I said, he's getting better. Before he became the starter, so I'm kind of setting the line here, January 5th, where he started. Technically, it was his second start. He started a game on the 26th, but then there was like 5 games where he was coming off the bench. So he's basically become the full-time starter at point guard since January 5th. Before then, 33% from the field. Since then, almost like a shade under 40%. It's like 39.8% from the field, 29% from 3. So the line's going up, and that's what you want to see. And again, 8.1 assists over this is 11 games, 9 of them being starts. So I guess not like full-time starter, but starting 9 out of 11 games. So the line's moving in the right direction. We're seeing more flashes from him. And the other key is like, how good is his defense? That's a massive thing that we kind of underrate with both of these players. Is they got to be good defenders, because you're going to have to go up against some pretty dang good point guards in the future. So go out there and play good defense.
Yeah, no, that's a very good point. And with the trade deadline looming and seemingly a variety of Jazz players continuing to be discussed, if Colin Sexton is gone, if Jordan Clarkson is gone, those are the roles that Keyonte George will take up those minutes. Of course, we don't know who comes in to replace them, if there may be a battle directly for that same position, but you would think that that's kind of the role that Keyonte kind of moves into, especially with Isaiah playing more of a pure point guard type of a role for the Utah Jazz.
I would prefer that if Colin Sexton were to leave or Jordan Clarkson or John Collins, I would hope that they don't shift more scoring load onto Collier and Keyonte George. Now, maybe Keyonte would just need that kick in the pants, be like, all right, here you go, you got to score more.
Yeah, if they start side by side.
Yeah, like maybe that's what Keyonte would need, but like I don't want to put more pressure. Like Isaiah Collier's not ready for that role. Like he's improving, but like he's improving in his own little, sphere as far as letting the game come to him. Don't make him force the issue offensively, because you can stunt his growth. You can give him kind of a false sense of security where it's like, okay, you're the guy and you're going to be the guy in the future. Like Isaiah Collier's not going to be the guy for the Jazz scoring wise. So don't put him in that role and don't make him think that's going to be his role, because then suddenly he might be mad about losing that role next year. So you'd like guys to come in, assuming which guys come in, if they ended up trading those guys to pretty much directly replace those scoring roles, potentially lost by Colin Sexton or John Collins. Because it wouldn't be good for multiple reasons to just throw Isaiah Collier into a bigger scoring role. Maybe Keyonte George, especially if you decide to just bring him off the bench and just give him that Jordan Clarkson role that guaranteed you're always coming off the bench. Even if mathematically maybe he should start, just tell him look, you're going to come off the bench and you're going to play that 6-man role and you're going to average 10, 12 points off the bench. Maybe that could be a role you could begin to teach Keyonte George. Maybe try and fit him into that, but I don't like the idea of just handing them more scoring offense when neither of them are really ready for it.
Utah does play the Golden State Warriors tonight, and Golden State is 22-23 on the season. They are currently out of the playoff picture. They are a team that's being discussed as a potential landing spot for Jimmy Butler. The team that may be involved in some of the moves that get made before the trade deadline. But this is a team that's kind of struggling right now. They've only won 4 of their last 10 games. But to make sure the Jazz don't accidentally stumble into a victory tonight, they're going to sit Jordan Clarkson, John Collins, Walker Kessler, Lauri Markkanen, Cody Williams. Johnny Juzang is already out with a right hand fracture. And of course, Taylor Hendricks is still coming back from his broken leg. But Jazz are going to be sitting a lot of their guys tonight. They don't want to accidentally win a game against the Golden State Warriors.
Yeah, the Jazz are gaining ground in this. They were at one point they had the 5th worst record. So they were 5th in the good old Tankathon standings. And they're 2nd now, and they're multiple wins. I know they have 3 more losses than Charlotte, who's the next closest team, but 2 fewer wins. So the math is kind of weird between how much of a lead they exactly have over a team like Charlotte. But New Orleans, they have 2 more wins and 1 more loss. So it says they're half a game ahead. Again, the math doesn't math in my head, even though theoretically I guess it does on these standings pages. But the Jazz have some pretty good ground that they've gained here. So you got to keep that up. Of course, now every time I run the Tankathon simulations, it has the Jazz dropping to 5th or 6th almost every single time. So I'm still paranoid about it. Holy cow, I swear they were moving up more often when they were 5th than the number of times they moved down from 2nd. The lottery is a cruel, cruel mistress.
They're not going to catch Washington. Washington hasn't won a game in the month of January, or at least not since the early January. They've lost 14 in a row.
Have they won a game since the new year began?
I can double check that. They're now being called the Lizards. They're losing. They won on January 1st.
Oh, they won on New Year, so
that's the last time they won a game.
Still won a game in 2025. It's the only one, though.
But what are some of the latest rumors surrounding the Utah Jazz or other trades that could happen throughout the NBA that may end up affecting the Utah Jazz? We'll discuss that coming up next here on the Full Court Press.
Cold weather is here. Let the gold medal winner in the Best of Northern Utah's fireplace category help you update your home with Heat and Glow's full line of gas or wood-burning products. Building a new home? Let the professionals at Advanced Fireplace and Stove design and install your fireplace. From traditional to modern, Heat and Glow has something for every design and every budget. Install a product that will allow your family to make memories for years to come. Stop by at their showroom or visit them at advancedfireplaceandstove.com.
This is Ryan at My Mattress. This one's for the guys. Girls, you can plug your ears for just a minute. Guys, Valentine's Day is a minute away. Here's the plan. Buy tickets to the dinner and a show at Lionheart Hall that we've got going on right now, and buy a mattress at My Mattress. I'll say that again. Buy tickets to the dinner and show at lionhearthall.com and have a brand new mattress from My Mattress delivered to your house for Valentine's Day. I gotcha. Only at My Mattress and lionhearthall.com.
Copiers, printers, service, and supplies are just the beginning. Les Olson IT is the premier source for your business's structured cabling, IT, software, telephones, and security systems. We partner with you to find the ideal solution to all of your office technology needs. Tell us your goals and we'll get you there. Find out more at lesolson.com.
Les Olson IT.
Happy New Year! You survived the holidays. This is Jarek at Jarek's Fine Jewelry. Did you meet the family during the holidays? How was that? Is it time to go engagement ring shopping? Valentine's Day is coming, but why wait? Do it now. Bring her in and view our collection of over 3,000 rings. With many of them being our own custom designs, I know we will find the perfect one. At Jarek's Fine Jewelry, we make it special. So come make it Jarek.
Jarek's Fine Jewelry. Make it special. Make it Jarek's.
Interviews, analysis, and a little bit of fun mixed in. The Full Court Press on Sports Talk Radio, 106.9 FM, 1390 AM. The Fan.
Welcome back to the Full Court Press. Eric Frandsen and Jason Walker. 435-339-0321. That's the Young Power Sports text line. If you want to chime in, be part of the program. Keyonte George named to the Rising Stars Challenge squad earlier today. And look, we can discuss his inefficiencies, and maybe this is a player who still needs to grow a bit, but he does lead all second-year players in assists. And this is a chance for him to go and mingle with other stars in the game and hopefully learn a thing or two about how to become a star himself. So we'll see how that goes. Now, he got an opportunity to participate last year. The NBA also announced their slam dunk competition participants, which, okay.
It's the dunk contest is basically dead.
Yeah. I really thought they would try to, after all the blowback and bad press that it's received the last several years, I really thought they would try to go in a slightly different direction. They really haven't. The only thing is Mac McClung might go for his third straight.
Yeah, and literally nobody cares.
And you're like, well, it's the only time anybody thinks about Mac McClung is when the NBA forces him upon us in the dunk contest.
Like, no disrespect to Mac McClung, but I don't think his mom's even going to watch.
I mean,
I hope his mom's.
He's had some nice dunks. I mean, I don't mean to take that away from him, but he was brought out of the G League for this because they couldn't get anybody else to participate.
Yeah, dude had barely the first time he went in, he had barely scored or not even scored at all in an NBA game. So, and the only reason I knew his name is because Utah State actually went against him when they played Texas Tech back in the NCAA tournament.
Yep.
So that's the only reason I knew who he even was, and that he was even an athletic player. Because he obviously is athletic, and he obviously is good at dunking. And that's kind of the weird thing with the dunk contest, because if you were to say who is the best dunker in the world, he's not in the NBA. Whoever he is, I can tell you that right now. There are better dunkers who are not even close to being NBA caliber players. That's just the way it is.
Right, that's the one thing they're really good at.
Yeah, heck, you could probably find a three-point shooter who's better than Steph Curry. If you lined him up and just had him shoot three-pointers all day, there might be somebody in the world who can shoot it better than Steph Curry, but that doesn't mean they can get into the NBA because Steph Curry is obviously good at a number of things that make him a transcendent NBA player in addition to his shooting. So, but the thing is, the dunk contest is for stars to showcase their athleticism. Sure, they may not technically be the top of the top, but they're the top of the names we know. It's kind of like when Jeremy Evans was in the dunk contest. He was actually one of the best dunkers in the NBA, but nobody cares because he was Jeremy Evans. We cared because he's in Utah, and we all knew he was athletic, and he does some pretty insane things. But
yeah, NBA fan base writ large had no idea who that guy was.
Yeah, so you need to have your stars in the dunk contest. It's why I brought out that, when I talk about the All-Star game, how you fix the All-Star game is you make the guys selected to be All-Stars participate in these events. Sure, they're not going to be the best, but it's also why, in my idea, I carved out, have a free spot to, say, hey, look, somebody else in the NBA, or hey, maybe even random Joe Schmo who does random dunk contests around the country, have him participate because he may actually be the best dunker and could show off some pretty nice creativity. Like, you can go look YouTube videos of guys who do these insanely creative slam dunks and maybe even show up some of the NBA stars and make them actually be creative about it. So I think that would be something that could revitalize the dunk contest, because that is like, it's like the home run derby in baseball. Like, it is the iconic all-star event that you have that is yours and nobody else can really replicate it. And it has an iconic history and iconic moments. And you are just strangling it by putting Mac McClung and Stephen Castle, I think, is in the dunk contest. And it's like, sure, these guys can dunk. And sure, Donovan Mitchell was good at dunking, but was he one of the best dunkers in the NBA? No. And trying to replicate Vince Carter's dunk, yeah, he kind of did it, but it's not the same. And they're also not getting it. They're not putting as much effort to be creative.
Yeah, so this year it's McClung, Stephen Castle, Matas Buzelis, and Andre Jackson Jr.
Yeah, and
so
those
they're
guys,
all young guys that nobody really knows.
They all have a combined 3 years of NBA experience between the 5 of them.
There's only 4, but...
Okay, 3 years of NBA experience between the 4 of them, because one of them doesn't even play in the NBA. And one or two of them are rookies.
Yeah.
So, I almost have as much NBA experience as some of these guys. And it's not the end of the world if a rookie competes in the dunk contest, because Blake Griffin was a really good dunker when he participated.
Sure.
So, you can have that. You can have rising stars be in the dunk contest, but, get your actual stars.
Are they stars? The key there was stars.
Yeah. You had Vince Carter in the dunk contest, Michael Jordan,
Dominique Wilkins.
Yeah, all these, the stars of the game were in the dunk contest, and those are your most iconic dunks. The most iconic dunks were done by the stars that people knew. Blake Griffin's was pretty iconic, but he was a rising rookie star. He was breaking rookie double-double records and stuff, or at least I feel like I remember him. He was putting up a bunch of double-doubles. I don't know if it was record-breaking, but it was notable for how often he was averaging 18 and 10 that year or something like that. So he was becoming a notable rookie name through his production, and his athleticism was also, something, we hadn't seen in a hot minute from that power forward position. And so, you got to get these superstars in the dunk contest. The fact that we haven't seen Giannis or LeBron or just list off all the guys you think should be in the dunk contest, they should have been in it, but they all say no. They want to be home for the All-Star weekend, except...
You want to make it as easy as possible.
Yeah, but like I said, they should be making these stars that are selected to the All-Star game, make them participate in these contests. Say, look, we can either just get rid of All-Stars, or you can, because if you get rid of the All-Star game, then the players whine. Because they all want to be selected an All-Star, but none of them actually want to do All-Star things. They'll go on a Twitter rant about how, I didn't get in. They'll whine to the media about not getting in, but then they don't want the responsibilities of being an All-Star. They'll go out there and entertain the fans, Being named an All-Star comes with a price. Entertain the fans. That's what you're getting paid to do.
Yes.
But they don't want to do it because... I hate to use this because sometimes it gets used by people who are over-hating on the NBA, but there's an aspect of entitlement to it.
Yeah.
They feel entitled to be selected an All-Star, but not have to actually try.
So talking about stars, the Utah Jazz might be involved in...
Well, really quick, we've got a couple of texts.
Okay, I was going to say there might be some involved in some trades involving some stars. I don't know if any of those are going to wind up in a Jazz jersey or not, but I'll pin that. We'll get back to that. Get into the Young Power Sports text line, 4781. Creativity was lost in the dunk contest when they started handing out 50s like America hands out money to foreign countries. It should have stayed a rare score.
Yeah, that is something where everyone
can agree with that.
Somebody just does a little 360 and a little bit of a windmill. It's it's a 50, and it's it was a good dunk, but a 50?
Yeah.
No.
A little too eager to throw up the 10 from the judges.
It's for those social media moments where everyone throws up a 10 and the crowd goes wild because now you can't go an NBA dunk contest without a 50 because you got to join that list of guys who had a 50. Did Mac McClung get one last year? He probably did.
I don't know.
It wouldn't surprise me if he did.
6391. I feel like the dunk contest went downhill when LeBron decided he was too cool for it and set the precedent 20 years ago.
Yeah, that's, again, the fact that LeBron hasn't been in one is so dumb. It's And yeah, he may very well have set that trend where it's like, stars don't have to compete in the dunk contest. That's where the entitlement begins. I want to be an all-star, but I don't want to have to do all-star things.
Right. I just want to show up, kind of cruise through the weekend, have my face shown on TV that I'm there, but I really don't want to work.
Yeah, I want my basketball reference profile to list how many times I was an all-star, but I don't want to have to act like an all-star.
Yes. 435-339-0321. Now, talking about stars, former all-stars could be on the move. Certainly been a lot of talk about Jimmy Butler, who could be on the move. Sounds like Miami is reducing what it may cost to get him. But there are some other stars who could be on the move, notably De'Aaron Fox out of Sacramento, who could be on the move.
Yeah, we heard that, I think, at the top of the hour, maybe the top of both hours, that De'Aaron Fox is on the market. Bit of a surprise. I hadn't noticed there were any rumblings. I know the Kings have kind of their win now push was over the last couple of years. They had De'Aaron Fox, they had Domantas Sabonis, probably one of the more underrated players in the NBA, but they hadn't turned those players into success on the court. They'd kind of been in the playoffs, but they were underwhelming, or they would often only make the play-in, and now they're on the very edge of the play-in, so maybe they're looking at just kind of cashing it in, trade to De'Aaron Fox, who's been a very good player. Heck, wasn't he clutch player of the year one of these last couple of years or something?
He was up there, yeah.
I can't remember if he won the award or not, but he's been one of the more underrated point guards, just kind of based on the fact that he's not been on a great team. And of course, maybe some of that is maybe he's not good enough to lead a great team, but maybe he can go be a secondary star for one of these other teams. And that's kind of the hope now, where the Kings have said, all right, we're open for business on De'Aaron Fox. And the Spurs seem to have pounced pretty quickly on this, because they are like immediately the favorite to land De'Aaron Fox. They can make the salary matchup pretty easily. They've got Zach Collins, who's not a big producer on their team, and he's like their second or third highest paid player, like 16-something million. They have to add a little bit more, but when I was messing around with the trade machine, it worked pretty easily. Although an interesting thing I saw from Kevin O'Connor, this is the Ringer, right? Or something like that. But
maybe.
I think he maybe was. I can't remember exactly. Sometimes these guys move around, but he actually put together a trade, because when I first heard of that, the Spurs maybe trying to get De'Aaron Fox, I was like, can the Jazz worm their way into this with John Collins? Could they pull that off? Partly because the Kings have reportedly been a suitor for John Collins anyway. But I'm not very good at the trade machine, so I can't even remember what I put together, but I'm pretty sure it sucked, because I just don't know the landscape. There's people that are just way better at trade machine. I know there's some people that put out dumb trade machine ideas. Some people are actually okay at it, but it does require knowledge of other teams' situations. Who are they willing to give up? That's something I don't have. And then you got to know the salary cap pretty well.
Yeah.
And then assets everyone has. But Kevin O'Connor, his idea for a trade was the Spurs, they get De'Aaron Fox. The Kings would get John Collins and Colin Sexton, also 2 first-round picks, because they're sending out De'Aaron Fox, so they get some assets back. But then they get 2 pretty quality players in Collins and Sexton. And then the Jazz get Keldon Johnson, Zach Collins, Kevin Huerter, 2 first-round picks, 2 seconds. I didn't say exactly where the picks came from, but that was kind of a trade. The Jazz could maybe worm their way in, say, hey, look, we can offer John Collins, Colin Sexton, maybe take some of the onus off the Spurs to send more compensation and help Sacramento get some veteran players, make the salary work. But then the Jazz benefit by getting some compensation themselves. Getting 2 firsts and 2 seconds for John Collins and Colin Sexton, that's a dream come true.
Yeah, that's great.
Because you're looking at 1 first-round pick for Sexton and a second-round pick for John Collins alone. But to get salary fill and 2 firsts and 2 seconds, that almost seems too good to be true. It makes me think that it's not going to happen, because it is too good to be true for the Jazz. And I feel like maybe the Spurs or the Kings wouldn't be as eager to send out as many first-round picks as they'd maybe be sending out.
Well, again, the trade deadline is February 6th. Is that right? It's like a week from Friday, I think is what it is.
Yeah, it's the 6th, 1 p.m. Mountain Time.
So we're a week and a half away. So we are in the window where trades could happen.
Yeah, the rumors are going to heat up. It is going to be like an oven of trade rumors. We're probably going to talk about it every other day as new trade ideas, new rumors heat up. How many times do the Jazz get mentioned? Like, I don't think there's going to be like as many straight up trade ideas with the Jazz and somebody else. It's always going to be the Jazz is like
they're going to be a
facilitator.
partner.
They're going to throw John Collins or Colin Sexton in there as like salary fill, or like in this case, helping Sacramento get a better haul of veterans and picks than maybe just having to take on like a bunch of salary fill and a bunch of picks. Like maybe that would be better for them. Or helping to facilitate a Jimmy Butler to Phoenix deal or something like that, or Jimmy Butler to wherever at this point. They're going to be included as kind of that third wheel potentially, and as a team that tries to draw a couple of assets while helping facilitate some of these deals. So it'll be something to keep an eye on. I have my doubts that some of these trades are going to happen. Again, I'm still rooting for Jimmy Butler to not get traded because
you like chaos.
I want chaos to reign, and that would be the biggest amount of chaos I could imagine. But I think he's going to get traded. It's pretty likely it's going to happen. That's just not tenable.
No. 8968 texting in. If they get rid of the All-Star game, I don't know if I would know it. They could get Ian to do one of his dirty, nasty, filthy dunks.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah, like if they'll never. I feel like they just can't get rid of the All-Star game because it has iconic history. And Adam Silver, if there's one thing he does not want to do, it's get rid of something like the All-Star game.
They won't get rid of it.
If he had the balls to do it, he would do it because it would be for the betterment of the NBA, I think, than to have this embarrassing showcase every year where everyone's like, are they going to compete? No,
they actually found a way to make it worse than the year before.
Yeah, like every year it somehow gets worse, but Adam Silver lacks the self-awareness and cojones to actually do something innovative and bold.
Right, because he's given too much power to the players themselves to make the decisions. We got to take another time out here in the Full Court Press, but when we come back, we've got some former Aggies involved. At least one notable former Aggie involved in an upcoming bowl game. Yes, college football bowl games are not done.
Bowl season is still here, baby.
So we'll discuss who that is, where he's going, and
you already know who it is.
Getting some attention as well. We'll discuss next on the Full Court Press.
This is Catherine Buse with Cache Valley Bank, and we understand that concerns about fraud can weigh heavily on you. Your peace of mind is important to us. That's why we're committed to looking out for you and your family. Our team keeps a vigilant eye on your account. If you ever have concerns or need support, we're just a call or visit away. Whether you need advice or just someone to talk to, our friendly staff is ready to help. We're more than just a bank. We're your neighbors, and we care about your security. Visit your local branch today. Cache Valley Bank, member FDIC.
This is Jordan with Primrose Home Care and Hospice, and I'm here with Barbara. Barbara, how did you become acquainted with Primrose?
I had been trying to get another company to come and help me, and I had waited about 2 weeks, and I needed a bath. My neighbor suggested that she would make a few phone calls, and that very afternoon, Mark Stokes was sitting in my front room, and he said, "What do you need?"
Primrose Home Care and Hospice. We're your home team.
Hi, Cache Valley. This is Dan Newmeyer at Blue Sky Restoration, formerly ARS. Do you know what to do if you are experiencing water flooding inside your home? First, make sure everyone is safe, turn off the water, and call Blue Sky. Do you know where the water shutoff is at in your home? If you don't, call Blue Sky and we'll send out a representative for free to help you find it and tag it so you can be prepared if an emergency arises. Remember Blue Sky, restoring your property and your life for a brighter tomorrow.
It's the Full Court Press, weekday afternoons from 4 to 6 on Sports Talk Radio, 106.9 FM, 1390 AM, The Fan.
Welcome back to the Full Court Press. Eric Frandsen and Jason Walker. Utah State's Jalen Royals is participating in the Reese's Senior Bowl.
Or as I just spelled it when I was looking at it on Twitter, Jalen Roylas. Because apparently my phone has dyslexia.
It's his fake name.
Or I have fat fingers. Really what it is.
There's some clips of him getting some good reps in practice. Senior Bowl is notable because there were a lot of NFL scouts, coaches, assistants, position coaches who are participating and helping to coach what happens at the Senior Bowl. And so it's a great showcase ahead of the NFL draft. Now, Jalen didn't play the last couple of several games, really, almost half the season for Utah State after injuring his foot or his calf. But there's clips of him today running routes. He looks great, and he's getting a lot of attention for his physical abilities and how he's performing so far in practice.
Yeah, he looks big, he looks strong, and he looks fast. And he's displaying pretty good hands. Caught a pass. There's like 2 or 3 clips that are like being recycled. You have like 13 different views of the same like 2 catches that he had. One from Alabama's Jalen Milroe, and then Jackson Dart of Ole Miss, right?
Ole Miss,
one of the Mississippi schools. He had another one where actually it was kind of a good play by the cornerback because he was trying to catch, and the other guy managed to kind of get his left wrist and rip the ball out. So there's kind of those same 3 clips of him where 2 of them are catches. One of them was a pass breakup by the defender. He couldn't quite get away. Had 2 hands on the ball, but it got ripped out of his hands. So, and right now, like, this is where NFL draft junkies, like, this is their Super Bowl. Like, these kind of things where they just get super in deep. You get all these guys that are crawling out of all corners of the internet where they've been, scouting the entire world. Like, the amount of effort some of these guys put in. You may not know their names, but the amount of effort they put in to researching these guys is very commendable. Them and NFL scouts, they're all, starting to pick their favorite underrated prospect. And Jalen Royals is kind of one of those little hot favorites of kind of underrated, small school guy, but you look at he has decent size, great speed, and obviously coming in at 210 pounds, he's clearly been working on his strength because that was something that was kind of noticed as a weakness. People were worried about, like, can he, beat a press? Can he, fight with corners and create space using his size and bulk? Something we hadn't seen as much in the college ranks, but he's got a bit of that now, so may alleviate some of those concerns. So, yeah, I think, so far there's a pretty solid amount of hype for Jalen Royals. We'll see how it goes. I imagine he's going to get a combine invite. I'd be surprised if he didn't.
Yeah, I'd be surprised if he didn't.
So we're going to see him at the combine, and the hype over that only grows. Like the NFL combine, I'll be honest, it's the most overrated event in the history of ever. But it's very, highly covered and watched. And we're also going to see Jalen Royals get a few more of those measurables on paper. His 40 time, the 3-cone drill and all that, depending on what he participates in. We'll see if he does the old trick of weighing in at something like the Senior Bowl and then like trying to lose weight so his 40 time can be faster. Sometimes people like to try and pull a fast one. Lamar Jackson did that. Not that it hurt his draft stock or hurt his ability to play in the NFL, but some guys will do that where they weigh in like a while before the draft, and then they'll specifically not weigh in for the combine and then run the fast times, or vice versa. It's kind of an interesting trick that guys like to pull. We'll see if Jalen tries that or if he's just going to be as transparent as possible. It's like, I got nothing to hide. I'm 200 pounds and I still run a 4.39, which that would be amazing if he did that, like sub 4.4.
Nuts. Yeah,
it's it'd be good speed for a small school guy. And of course, the rumors I've heard of his speed are that it's like low 4.3, but a lot of those stories can get exaggerated.
So the game itself is going to be on Saturday. It's being played in Mobile, Alabama, at the University of South Alabama. But it'll be shown on the NFL Network at 12:30 our time. So if you want to tune in to see how Jalen performs, find it on the NFL Network at 12:30 on Saturday. So there's no football right now this coming weekend because the NFL is off. It's their midweek between the conference championship games and the Super Bowl. So you've got some of these college football, quote-unquote, all-star games that are taking place. But this isn't the only one. Certainly this is the one we're going to be paying attention to the most because of Jalen, but it's not the only one. There's another one on the 30th?
Yeah, on Friday, the Shrine Bowl.
31st, I should say.
I think it is the 30th, though.
Was it the 30th?
I believe it says the 30th. So, yeah, the Shrine Bowl. I don't think any Aggies got invited to that. I don't think anyone got invited to it because the only other invites that I was at least aware of specifically was the Hula Bowl. Rasul Faison and Spencer Petras got invited to that. Petras didn't participate because he was hurt. Faison, I think, may have ended up just pulling out because he's going back to college. Cole Motes was actually invited to some other Senior Bowl, but he didn't find out that he'd been invited until it was too late because there was some with the coaching change. A lot of times they tell the coaches and the coaches tell the players. That's, I think, how Jalen found out he was in the Senior Bowl is he found out from one of his coaches, I think from Cal Cephalo. But Cole Motes was Jalen Royals. Did I say Jalen Royals? I don't know if I mixed up him and Cole Motes, but when I was talking about how Jalen Royals found out. But yeah, Cole Motes didn't find out in time to play. It's not this Senior Bowl. Again, it was a different one that he was invited to, but I don't think he ended up participating in that one. That one happened back in mid-January. The Hula Bowl happened back in mid-January. But the two ones for this weekend are the Shrine Bowl and the Senior Bowl. And those are kind of the two most popular ones. I think Royals also got invited to the Shrine Bowl, but he picked the one to participate in.
Yeah, you got to choose one or the other.
Yeah.
But there are a couple of Mountain West players in the East-West Shrine Bowl. You've got Nick Nash, the wide receiver from San Jose. Also, Ricky White, the wide receiver from UNLV. The other players from the Mountain West who will be participating in the East-West Shrine Bowl. And again, yes, it is on the 30th. It also will be on NFL Network, 6 o'clock our time. And that will be played at AT&T Stadium in Arlington, Texas.
There you go.
So, yeah. So, anyway, that's what's going on in college football. It's not quite done, not quite in the books. 435-339-0321. Got a couple of texts we'll get to on the other side of this timeout, and also share the stat that blew our minds and our player of the week.
Love is in the air this Valentine's Day with a special evening waiting for you at the Riverwoods Conference Center. Morgan Adald here, inviting you to a special Valentine's buffet with music by Wildflower the Band. Come enjoy a delicious selection of prime rib, blackened salmon, tempura shrimp, ribs, and much more. And is it even Valentine's without dessert? Enjoy an endless display of chocolate decadence, delicious cheesecakes, and chocolate-covered strawberries. Nothing says I love you like dinner, dessert, and dancing. Reserve your Valentine's Day today. Visit theriverwoods.com. That's theriverwoods.com.
Hi, this is Ashley with LSS Insurance. Medicare can seem complicated, but it doesn't have to be. Let us help. We'll answer all your questions and get you specific information that fits your needs. Medicare is not one size fits all. We'll help you find the right coverage for you. Call 752-9493. You can ignore the TV and the junk mail. We'll get you the exact information you need. We will help you access the benefits that are important to you. Call LSS Insurance at 752-9493.
Happy winter. This is Mark at the Sportsman on Main Street, where we make winter fun. We are your ski, snowboard, snowshoe, and cross-country ski rental shop. Come in and rent for the day or longer and have a great time outside. We also have great deals on new skis, boots, bindings, underwear, and outerwear, so you are comfortable playing in the snow. See the Sportsman for the best deals, the best service, and most unique products you will find for the outdoors. Only at the Sportsman on Main Street in downtown Logan.
No matter what the conditions, DD Auto and Salvage can get your vehicle up and off your property. Now is the time to plan to make extra cash by calling DD Auto and Salvage and moving that old vehicle. Let them pay you for that junk vehicle. DD Auto and Salvage makes it so easy to get rid of your junker vehicles, paying you the most money possible. If you have metal, DD Auto and Salvage in Logan wants to pay you today. Call 787-1204.
That's 787-1204 today.
See store for details.
S.E. Needham Jewelers is where Utah gets engaged. We offer a large selection of personalized service and extraordinary benefits with our integrity price guarantee. At match quality, you'll find our prices to be as low or lower than any store in the state. We consistently beat any 50 to 70% off sales, internet pricing, or so-called wholesale deals. In fact, we even price our diamonds at internet pricing. So you'll get S.E. Needham quality at internet prices. Open Monday through Saturday, 10 to 7, where Utah gets engaged. S.E. Needham Jewelers. Middle of the block, at the sign of the clock.
Breaking down the biggest games with in-depth analysis and team interviews. It's the Full Court Press with Eric Frandsen and Jason Walker.
Welcome back to the Full Court Press. Eric Frandsen, Jason Walker. A few quick texts before we get to the stat that blew our mind and our player of the week. 9315 texting in. If Rudy is in the All-Star game, he will have to be careful that things don't fall from the rafters like plungers. Why is weird stuff happening a lot to him? Something fell out of the roof at the game. Was that last night or 2 nights ago? It looked like a plunger. It wasn't, but it's like a piece of the ceiling fell, and it landed right in front of Rudy Gobert.
God, that's actually dangerous how far that falls.
Oh, very dangerous. Thankfully, there was like a timeout, so players were starting to walk towards their benches, and it fell right there, right in front of them.
Goodness gracious.
It was a scary situation. Then 8968 texting in, as it's going, the last bowl will be played. The next day, spring drills will start.
Yeah, basically. Guys are already practicing off-season weightlifting. Spring has basically started for a lot of teams, even though it's January.
All right, let's get into the stat that blew our minds and our player of the week. Let's start out with the stat.
Let's take a look at the numbers. It's the stat that blew our minds.
He did what?
On the Full Court Press.
Wow, that blew my mind.
All right, Jason, what's the stat that blew your mind?
I'm going back to the bank. I know it's one I've already kind of mentioned, but Utah State making 16 three-pointers in back-to-back games against Nevada and Air Force. The only time they have ever done that, I probably should have looked to see how many other, I'm just thinking this now, maybe I should look to see how many other teams have done that all year or multiple times all year. But just the fact they're able to shoot that well, back-to-back games, that's just absolutely nuts to me. And
that is bonkers.
Just watching the game, it was blowing my mind how just effortlessly they were chucking him up and draining him.
Stat that blew my mind is related to the Senior Bowl actually taking place this weekend. More than 900 NFL personnel will be there. Over 1,100 media members were credentialed. And then the other stat that really kind of jumps out to me, nearly 50% of the 110 picks in the NFL draft were players that participated in the Senior Bowl.
Yeah, it's
a good chance if you're at the Senior Bowl, you're NFL bound.
The NFL draft is the second most covered media event of the year, behind the number one event of the year, which is just the NFL season in general. I swear the NFL draft gets more coverage than the NBA as a whole.
Yes, it probably does. So those are the stats that blew our mind. Now let's get into our player of the week.
Time to see who the real MVP is.
If you have a good game, your game is going to say that. You don't have to say it.
Puts a lot of cool things in perspective anytime you're the first time doing something.
It's the Full Court Press Player of the Week.
Let's go!
Who jumps out to you this week, Jason?
I think there's a couple of players I could go with. At least Livingston, Talia Logwood of Utah State women's basketball. But I want to go with Dexter Acano. Guy was plus 31 in that Nevada game. Was plus 29 against Air Force. He was a plus-minus monster. And I think that deserves some recognition where he's not got enough of it, I think, this season for the role he's having.
My player of the week is Dexter Acano, who was 5 for 7 from 3 against Nevada. 2 rebounds, 4 assists, 3 steals in that game. Followed up with 3 for 6 from 3 against Air Force. And added 2 rebounds, an assist, and a steal. Just a monster off the bench for the Utah State Aggies.
Maybe I should have gone with Livingston.
That's a good choice.
Yeah, she had 22, career high 22 or 23 points in that win for Utah State over San Jose State.
Big one for them. Much needed win for Utah State women's basketball. That's going to do it for us tonight here on the Full Court Press. And appreciate all the texts that came through. Tomorrow, getting ready for the grudge match, Utah State versus UNLV. We'll prepare you for the matchups, what's on the line, and also look at big games that will be taking place throughout Region 11 boys basketball. It'll be a busy night for both high school hoops and the college ranks, and we'll have full breakdowns here on 106.9 FM, 1390 AM, The Fan.
The home for Sports Talk Radio, KLGN Logan, 106.9 FM, 1390 AM, The Fan.